Welcome my friends, Evan Gray here. Thank you for joining me today for this video. My last video I posted was probably a little bit disturbing. It actually took place over a month ago. Today's video is sort of just an overall update on how I'm doing, some things that I've been doing in the step van, and just keeping you up to speed on what's happening in my life. So let's get started. I'm currently boondocking just outside of Flagstaff. There are a number of wonderful places outside of Flagstaff here, National Forest, that are just absolutely gorgeous. Pine trees, mountains, great weather in the 70s. It's just quite spectacular. It's been really good for me emotionally, helping me get out in nature and to de-stress and get a little bit more focused. And I've actually made a few friends out here, small community, a couple of people that I knew from before, but it's just really helped in many, many ways for me to work on healing and building up my emotional and physical stamina and strength and getting in a better headspace mentally and physically. You can see here the step van's parked backing up to this beautiful forest over here. It's quite spectacular. Over here on this side there's a bunch of trees and I can go for hikes. There's some trails that go back through here. It's quite nice. I've been doing a little bit of stuff in the step van, mostly just putzing about, just taking on small projects, nothing really major. But let me show you some of the things that I've been doing in here just to keep you up to speed. I didn't do any filming. I just didn't feel up to talking to the camera this last month. So as I was doing these little projects, there's nothing captured of that time. This was just something for me to do that improved the step van a little bit. And anyway, let me show you. You'll notice here that my countertop, I no longer have the Coleman grill stove over here on the side, which used to be there. And my new cooktop is now installed and working. I still need to do a little bit of tweaking on that. One of these knobs, this one here on the left, is not quite working correctly. As soon as you release it, like from pressing down, it will work fine, but as soon as it springs up, the gas quits running. So I think there's something wrong with that knob, and I can't return it to Amazon because I took too long on the install. And this one over here, for this knob, the gas amount is too high. It comes all the way up over the sides of whatever pot that I'm using. It's just like a turbo flame. And in the instruction manual, I can turn that down. I just need to get a screwdriver that's narrow enough and long enough to go down under the knob to be able to adjust that. So I'm going to try adjusting that, and then try adjusting this, and maybe that'll fix it as well. You'll also notice over here that I now have the license plates mounted in a new location. This is directly above the stovetop, the cooktop. Actually, I need to shift my countertop about 4.5 inches towards the front, which I'll be doing soon. And once I do that, the cooktop will line up exactly with the license plates. So I have 2 more plates to go. Those are in the mail to me. Those will go on the top up here. But I really love the way this looks. It's pretty spectacular to have these license plates, which are donated from you, the subscribers. I don't need any more because I now have enough, so please don't send any more license plates to me. It's pretty cool. I did have one license plate that was from the UK that doesn't fit the same size and profile as these license plates, so I put that down on the slide out for the refrigerator. Let me show you that. Down here is the UK license plate. I mounted it on the front of the slide out, and then I also put a handle on here so that I'm able to pull my refrigerator out, which is pretty awesome. You'll notice a new cabinet over here with a couple of drawers, so that's pretty nice. And down here I decided to go ahead and put a propane bottle inside the rig and make it sealed. I've got to adjust this little panel just a little bit because it's a real tight fit, and I just need to adjust that. So it's already vented. I have a vent hole going down through the floor, a little screen on it to keep bugs out, and the gas bottle is in there, and then the hose goes up and around and underneath here up to the cooktop here. And then I'll have another hose that goes out that side and goes up to the Wave 6 heater, which is over here. And then I've relocated a number of items off to the left of the new license plate backsplash. I put my Wi-Fi hotspot up here in the corner, and I moved the magnetic racks for all of my implements for cooking. Down here are a bunch of the knives, and up here just some random tools, some scissors, a beater, tongs, that kind of stuff. Fire extinguisher has been relocated to the opposite side up above the kombucha. And then over here above the sink, I have my task list of things that I'm working on for the step van, a little calendar, and down here, of course, is the sink. In the back of the step van, I added a mosquito net that goes from floor to ceiling, goes from the top up there down to the bottom here, and it has a magnetic seam in the middle, so you can just split it apart when you want to go in and out. It's a little bit too long right now, so I still need to do the little hem on the top to get it adjusted. But it's really nice to be able to open up the back doors and not have any bugs coming in. So that's pretty much everything that I've done for the step van over the last month. Just a few little projects here and there. All of this is really in preparation for being able to build the extending slat bed and get that set up. And I've decided that I want a wider space, so I'm going to actually flip-flop from one side over to the other and put the bed on the driver's side behind the driver's seat. And I've decided to also remove the entire power box that's there and mount that up on the ceiling and take the batteries and mount them underneath the frame of the step van. So that's going to be upcoming in the next few months. Just going for a little walk this morning through the forest, which is just gorgeous here, one of my favorite things to do. Want to give you an update on things where I am emotionally and what's happening there, and talk a little bit about the brakes on the step van. So first, let's talk about the brakes. So there was two issues with the brakes that I was dealing with, two symptoms, if you will. The first happened a total of 3 times, and that is where I'm slowing down, and the last 4 or 5 miles an hour as I'm coming to the stop, both the brakes and the power steering would drop out. They would just not really work. The brakes were still there, the steering was there, but it's as though the engine was shut off. There's no power assist. Originally, I wasn't sure what was causing this. Talked to a couple of mechanics, diesel mechanics, and they had them look at it. Had 2 mechanics actually look at the step van, and they indicated one of 2 things. Either it was the ball valve in the power steering pump, or a power steering pump that was going bad, or possibly the idle was just not high enough. So it turns out that the idle was not high enough, and just by adjusting the idle up about an extra 100 revolutions per minute, RPMs, that the brakes and the power steering are absolutely fine, no problem at all. And for 2 months now, there's been no repeats of that incident. So I believe I've solved that problem. The other issue, the other symptom happened one time, and that was going into Basalt, Colorado. And when I was going down the hill over the pass into Basalt, the brakes went out, and what happened was the pedal would slowly descend all the way down to the floor, and then I could lift it up and pump it and pump it and pump it, and then it would go up to the top and go slowly down. I had brakes, but I had to keep doing this pumping action for about 15 or 20 minutes in order to keep the brakes going. And again, this has never repeated itself. At the time when the pedal was going all the way down the floor, I was headed to Basalt, Colorado for a van gathering. I'll put a link to that above. At that event, I met with a mechanic named Tom, and he was a heavy-duty diesel mechanic working on these types of vehicles all the time. And he said basically to try 3 different things in order. The first thing he said you need to do is change out the fluid. So you want to change the brake fluid, get new fluid in there, because sometimes the fluid can go bad and cause this type of symptom of the pedal going all the way down. The second thing he said to do is check the seals for the master cylinder. So if the brake fluid doesn't solve it, then check the seals and put new seals in. He also said check for any leaks in the system, which there are none. And then he said, last of all, replace the master cylinder if nothing else works. So we swapped out all of the brake fluid, we bled it out, put brand new brake fluid in, and guess what? it solved it, because 2 months later, it has never repeated the problem. So I think that that's completely solved. So between those two things, I think the brake issue has been solved, at least until it's duplicated itself. Should be fine for the step van and the brakes, which is a huge relief to me. There's a big log here in the middle of the forest. I'm going to take a break for a second. So anyway, that was one of the big things that was stressing me out. Not so much that there was a problem with the brakes, but that I didn't know exactly how to solve it. And I was always worried that there would be something in the future where the brakes would fail. And that, combined with several other items and things going on in my life, had caused me to just be overwhelmed with stress and issues that I couldn't really deal with, and then not having any real community, people that I could have face-to-face time to talk about these things, just to sort of work through the issues. So that caused me to sort of have a mental meltdown, which you saw in the previous video. So anyway, feeling much better about life in general, having tackled some of these problems and solved those, and developing a small network, a community of friends for face-to-face time, to have some people to just sort of bounce ideas off of and be there to just listen, even if they're not solving problems. So that has all really helped and put me in a much better mental state, and it helps to be in this beautiful forest like this. And last of all, I just really want to thank all of you subscribers who watched the last video and made comments. There's over 200 comments there. Almost all of those were just sympathy and telling me that, hey, I'm human. These kinds of things happen. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being emotionally supportive of me. And just want to let you know that I'm doing much better. And it makes me feel really warm and fuzzy inside to see those kinds of comments and see the support for me as a person, as an individual. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And on that note, I'm going to end this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it. Savor the moment. And I'll see you in the next video.